Welcome. These will be my thoughts on Arrow Season 2, Episode 1, City of Heroes. The episode is rated TV-14, so this video there will be spoilers for the episode and all of Season 1, potentially. And yeah, continue to absolutely love the show. So glad to be back to doing episodes of it. Let's start with I thought as a season opener, it was very strong, delivering several of the things that we really want from such. For example, the way that it immediately shows the stuff that we loved about the first season. You know, we've got Felicity being her adorkable, nervous, not great in the field, but she does her best self. We've got Diggle being a badass. We've got Oliver saving people, you know, using, I guess it's not quite a rope arrow, but, you know, it's adjacent. We've got Lian Yu. And it does a really good job of establishing a new status quo. I think I'll talk about the new stuff it sets up over the course of the video, scene by scene, so we don't get bogged down in all of it right here at the top. And let's see, I think before I go into, I'm just gonna talk some about the flashbacks. So we get the new. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the entire season, but certainly it's clearly going to be multiple episodes, or at least one more. If I had to guess, I'm thinking more than just the one. The trio on the island in the 5 years ago flashbacks are gonna have to find out who's now on Lian Yu with them, what they're there for, and we the audience see the boat. Let's see, so as usual, they're doing a really good job of this thing of having the flashback stuff, set up, comment on things that are going on in the present day. So we have that until this episode, when Oliver, if a woman he loves is in danger, he can't not, they say, both when he rushes, before he rushes in, I cannot believe I'm blanking on the Manu Bennett character. I'll pick the names back up over the coming episodes, but for some reason, Slade. Slade tells him, this is, you can't just listen. Only fools rush in. I know you can't help but falling in love with her. And afterwards, as he's raising the rock and the roof, he they yell, Oliver, no, and he still goes through with it. And I think that pretty much covers right. Also, the episode does a good job of just the Blu-ray actually does also come with a full recap of season 1, which is 42 minutes, I think. So I haven't watched. It's possible I'll watch it one of these days, but I started to watch it just to see how long it was, not because I'm a clown in real life. I don't just play one on this channel. I thought that if I hit play on the menu that it would play the first episode and not the not the recap, but yeah. I guess I'll just very briefly note one cool thing that I did. So the narration is talking about, okay, so he has, Oliver Queen has friends and enemies, and they showed the. I cannot believe I'm blanking on her name too. Holy crap! Yeah, it's been a little while since I watched the show. Okay, I swear I won't spend forever trying to remember it, but the Huntress. Huntress appeared just as the narrator went from saying friends to enemies, because she is sort of on the edge between the two. Anyway, but yes, obviously when this first aired, not everybody was going to be able to watch a recap, so. Well, I guess possibly online, but they don't want to force people to have to do that. I thought they did a really good job with the dialogue in this. Just reminding people, like, this is not, you don't want to start watching the show with this episode, obviously, but it's enough that you can, yeah, um, and also making it feel organic. It doesn't feel like they're just, expositing. Now, I think that does. Right, I like that. The way that Slade, he just kind of accepts that the two of them, Shadow and that's also 5 months is a long time to hide that. But the fact that they're a couple, and I like the thing about beating me up is his job, and I like my job. That you do. That you do. And let's see. I guess that pretty much. Yeah. So then they. I guess the next thing is the. Yeah. So they hear the radio the proximity thing, and explain that they salvaged it. Go to check on it. She tries to flank but ends up caught. And the yeah. Uh yeah, I think that covers the entire flashback stuff in the episode. Yeah, that was also something that they knew we fell in love with in the first season. Yeah. So it is never a bad day when you get to see Manu Bennett being a badass in something. That's just a scientific fact. Like, the numbers don't lie. And I guess, yeah, so, scene by scene, the present day stuff. So, yeah, the, you know, I do feel for Felicity. So basically, it's a scary, bumpy ride. The she gets told, like, oh yeah, I mean, the seat, she got the one, part on the plane that has the seatbelt, but that's not going to help if they crash into the. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're leaving by parachute. I thought that was just in case. Yeah, just in case we made it. You're welcome. I mean, talk about just the worst flight experience short of going with Spirit. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, it was what's it called? The mine was a nice callback to season 1. And let's see. The Uh, I will say I was expecting Felicity to say something about having Oliver on top of her, but instead she said he was, wow, you're sweaty, which is also that's a very Felicity thing to be saying under this circumstance. And yeah, Dig still sometimes fibs to Oliver to get him to do the right thing. Said that it was about the company, not the hoods. And I think that does bring us nicely to... I really love the shot where we see, there's the thing about, the blood and, what was it, elect the blood or something like that. And, all the pictures of, people who died during that, And I really appreciate that they take the consequence of that, the and now I'm struggling. Yeah, I think it's the Glades. Yeah, yes. Struggling to remember if that's what it's called here or if I'm thinking of Batman Begins, but yeah, you know what I mean. And the yeah, the thing with... I guess I'll for now talk about... So obviously there are multiple things where this, the status quo is very much informed by what happened in the season 1 season finale. But yeah, the fact that, Arrow, I can now call him, which also, that was a fun way to end the episode, that, he looks at the tip of the arrow, and then instead of hearing him say it, they cut to the title card that says Arrow. So that's... I don't know, some people don't like that. I'm not going to claim that it always works, but I like it. And I think that, where did... that pretty much brings us to the fact that, there are now vigilantes. And, Oliver's going to have to deal with them, explain to them there's a difference between them and him. He's not wearing hockey pads. So they are still taking some inspiration from the Dark Knight trilogy, which is not a bad thing as long as they're doing something interesting with it. And so far, I think they have been. And yeah, I really appreciate the fact that they are very much... I mean, they are more lethal than Arrow, but they are kind of doing a very similar thing, going after the 1%. And let's see. I think that pretty much gets us to... So, as it's being explained to Oliver, about Isabel... See, I knew from years ago that Summer Glau was going to appear at some point in the Arrowverse. Don't worry, I don't know how long she's in the show. That I do not know. But, I looked up stuff she was in. I guess the most recent time might have been for my videos. The most recent of them on the 2 seasons of Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. But yeah, I am quite a fan. These two, the 4400, just, yeah, really, really great when she shows up. I like the thing about, like, she looks angry in every photo, which, yeah, she does like to play tough badasses, um, which is very fun because like in like interview and on commentary tracks and such, she's just the absolute sweetest, So yeah, the and this was also a very different, like, she likes to play tough, but this is different from those roles in several ways. Now, I think that does... Yeah, and it is very clever. Yeah, and I like the thing about, if she acquires Queen Consolidated, she will liquidate, and 30,000 people will be out of a job, which, like, they knew that was going to get Oliver to, be, yeah, like, however he feels about, the vigilantism that he used to engage in, he definitely does not want all these people to lose their jobs. They had no idea about Merlin, and yeah. So the fact that Felicity refers to herself as one very blonde IT specialist, which was also a nice little way of, so there's a lot of people that he can claim, he's okay with not being around, but he does care about her. Let's see, and I think... Oh, right, the thing about, when, she points out, I do really appreciate that Felicity, like, for, they have her be the quirky comic relief some of the time, but she does also keep Oliver honest. Like, she's not on the island for very long before pointing out to him, you act like you're not even happy to see us. Come on, Lau. Now. And the thing about, you could at least offer us water. Coconut. I don't know if it was the actress's idea or the director or if it was in the script or what, but she really went full quirk. She pushed it as far as it could go before becoming, like, I don't know, Scrubs or something on the... I think it was specifically the word coconut, just, yeah. And he does indeed offer our water, fresh out of coconut. And I think... But yeah, I do really appreciate the idea that he went back to the island because, like, yeah, he was in Starling City. I mean, I'm not going to quote the entire line. He lays it out really well, and also exposition in case people... Because, like, I guess this probably aired... It must have been months after the finale of the first one at the very least. So some people might have forgotten at least some of those details. But yeah, and I think it was very... there's a couple of things. The fact that they ended the crusade that was based on the names in the book at the end of season 1, it means that there's a sense of a complete story, even though obviously it is overall the first chapter of a larger story. Let's see, we have the catharsis. It frees up the in the first season, a lot of episodes. I'm not saying it was a bad thing. It helped give focus, but now they're also, gradually the world is opening up more. It did over the course of the first season, and let's see, yeah, it very much means he is still gonna do the vigilante thing because I mean, that is a substantial draw of the show, obviously, but it's gonna, he says at the end of the episode, it's gonna be about honoring Tommy's memory. He has to be the man that Tommy believed he could be. And yeah, that is different. And yeah, I'm really, really stoked about this chapter. And I guess that pretty much gets us to the part where, yeah, so you have the, the thing about, so he says, take me home. I want to see Thea. And, there's the thing about, well, she's not at home. Well, where is she? And then, another thing where they're both, reiterating and confirming that, yeah, this is, the two of them are still together. And I like the thing about, my boss has been, riding my ass or something like that, just, yeah. And I think that does, yeah, then we have, he's still doing vigilantism. So that's, I mean, I'd say, is he ever gonna learn? But he's a young cishet white man. I think, I mean, there's 8 seasons of the show. Maybe eventually he will. But no, seriously, I do really appreciate. I don't think that it would have felt like they fully, there's more they can do with that character engaging in vigilantism. I don't know yet if Thea is going to end up being okay with it or not, but yeah, the let's see. I think that's, yeah, so that's when Oliver, Oliver Queen walks into a bar. Stop me if you've heard this one before. And to Roy, he's just like, so you're still here? And he's just like, I'm always here. He's not intimidated. Despite certain of the first, certain aspects of the first season. But yeah. And the, let's see. Oh, I guess this is also what, yeah, so I think this is also the scene where they talk about how she still hasn't gone to see her mother, and him pointing out, if he could see one of his parents again, he would. And yeah, I like the thing about, she tells Oliver, she had to, there's the thing, you're not even old enough to drink, but I am old enough to tend bar, which, that is genuinely such a silly, like, there's parts of America where you cannot drink until you're 21, but you, like, let's see, I actually forget what the minimum age is for getting a job in America is. I guess if MAGA get their way, there might not be a minimum. And the getting rid of the minimum, the maximum, and let's see, the I think that does cover that. Oh yeah. Oliver talking about, like, I'm sorry, I've been busy, water skiing, a lot of skiing. And her line, it's like you were back on the island. Yeah, what a silly thing to say. The back on the island, Oliver. Yeah, that's And the I think that does bring us to the alderman and the mayor, and we get another part of the, so yeah, another part of the new status quo is Thea running the bar, which does free up Oliver to work as the CEO at Queens Consolidated. And let's see, the I think, yeah, we find out that another status quo change. Laurel is now working for the alderman, and the thing about, like, it's sad that CNRI was not opening its doors again. There were no doors to reopen, and yeah, she's going to, this is how she wants to help make the world a better place now. And yeah, one can understand, like, she worked so hard, and then, to have the building destroyed, people killed, and just, yeah, it feels to her like it's not enough. So yeah, I look forward to seeing more of her in this new situation. And I guess that pretty much, yes, that brings us to the Hoods showing up. And it was really great the way that, the first thing is we hear, you have failed the city. And, like, yeah, for several seconds, I was sitting there thinking, did they, I guess maybe they're going to explain later in the episode what made Oliver go back to vigilantism, and what about the mayor? And then you see bullets fired. And then it's like, okay, I guess it's not him then. And there's several of them, and just, yeah. And Laurel just, like, attacks one of them. Such a badass. Just, yeah. And the, let's see. We have the, yeah, incredibly tense when the trigger is pulled. But it seems like there were no bullets in the handgun. The bullets fired were from the assault rifle. So he had no intention of shooting her. He just, figured this would get her to stop. Yeah. He does stop short of saying stop resisting. After all, he's not a cop, though gunning people down would not be that unusual for American police. And including people who are in no way a threat. Anyway, yes, then we have yeah, it's one of those things where, like, obviously a mock execution is a truly awful thing to do to another human being. Like, you should never. But it does also communicate, he wasn't going to shoot her, and the the episode wanted us to know that, and he wanted her to know that. So yeah, and then we have that. Yeah, so status quo change. Detective Lance was demoted, and he's still getting chewed out, though. Now it's yeah, he just has no luck with his boss, does he? I think, yeah. Then we have the part where Oliver shows up, and they talk. He says, he's on TV about the attack, And, she says, she made a mistake when they, hooked up near the end of season 1, that particular time. And, she points out, okay, so she wasn't literally cheating on Tommy because they were on a break. But it's still like, it felt wrong, and so they are not going to be together. Which, is one of those things, like, I get it would maybe be early for them to get back together in a more long-term sense. And, yeah, I do just really like seeing, what little we have seen of them together was really great. But it also gives the season somewhere to go. And I don't know if they're going to end up together by the end of the season, but the fact that it is, and later in the episode he says it's okay if they're not a couple, but he needs her friendship, So that's a good place for them to, they can do something with that over the course of the season. And I guess I forget if it's this scene or later, but I did like the thing about, no, but Malcolm killed, and she's like, no, it was just in the middle of, two archers. She doesn't see a difference between them, which you can't really blame her for, considering, and it again is an interesting way, because we've already seen when she is on board with what the vigilante does. So yeah, seeing a new, and again, it feels earned, seeing a new step along the overall evolution is good. Yes, that does bring us to the, so he confronts Diggle and says, you brought me back for the hoods, not for the company, yeah. And I like the thing where, he says, take me home, Diggle. And then Diggle says, yes, Mr. Queen, basically Oliver pulling rank, saying that you technically do work for me. And yeah, him saying, well, if all you're gonna say is that I'm just your employee, then I guess that's what I am. And I guess the next thing is the board meeting, I think. So let's go with that. Let's see. Oh, actually, yeah, I think before that we have the Hoods meeting. Having a meeting, I mean, talking about how they're, the frustration that Oliver got more coverage than they did. Sometimes these video recommendations do come very naturally and organically. FD Signifier recently did yet another excellent video, Charlie Cook and the Conservative Death Cult, which, among many other things, points out that, let's see, I think he said it was in the 2010s, it became clear that a number of shooters wanted fame. I mean, this episode is from 2013, so I guess there is some chance that that is actually what they're doing here, that the episode reflects that change in media coverage. Or I guess it's possible that it was preempted. I have to admit, I forget when it was what year. But anyway, yeah. I like one of the hoods saying Oliver Queen is just a useless brat. Just yeah. I mean, his color of green is not quite the same as the Brat Summer green. Now, I think that does... Yes, so a boardroom meeting. You know, the yeah, Oliver goes in and Felicity says, just FYI, no one is eating the bagels. Maybe they're worried that someone's going to throw it and create a supervillain. And yeah, Summer Glau, as usual, does not disappoint. It's also very neat when she plays, I forget if they said she was Russian, but certainly the name sounds somewhat. And she, before she started acting, Summer Glau worked on becoming a professional ballerina. And in her own words, she was shouted at in Russian for a while. So yeah, sometimes she'll speak Russian in stuff she's in, and she can, pull off very convincing Russian. I actually forget where she is from, but whatever. Yeah, it was really cool. She is just nailing this kind of cold, just like, like Oliver comes in and she's like, I'm not sure why you bothered to show up. I guess, okay, I'll tell you face to face then. You're done, buddy. You majored in dropping out of college. Just, yeah. You just, with Summer Glau, you just gotta give her some, good dialogue, good to great dialogue, and she is just so freaking good. One of my favorite actors in any Terminator franchise thing ever. Now, let's see. Like, if you don't already know she's an amazing actress, like, watch some of her stuff on there, because they give her some stuff that's like, how do you make this sound natural? Like, just, yeah. And she makes it seem like she's been talking like this for years now, just like it's completely natural, not at all sci-fi stuff. Anyway, I think yeah, I did quite appreciate, as Felicity points out, he could have stopped the hoods and he didn't, but at the same, he is also, he says that he didn't want the hoods or Rashev to know what he can do, which is really understandable. They are, so far enemies. Let's see. I think that does cover... I forget if it's this scene or the other one where they talk, Rashev and him, but the thing about how, the company's name is in the toilet because of the, I mean, Tommy, charismatic figure, made some people feel alive, made a lot of other people feel dead, and the machine was built, at Queens Consolidated. Everybody knows, that's such a great... Because I did wonder exactly what the fallout was going to be of her telling all of Starling City. It was very like self-sacrificing, but yeah, it could also ruin the company. And I do appreciate, ultimately, like, she appreciated that. Yeah, it was the most good she could do, and if it meant, if it cost the company, that would ultimately still, um, yeah, it's more important to save the, the lives. And I think that does, yeah, pretty fond of the, yeah, um, Oliver going all John McClane again. Um, at some point, like, McClane should sue, although he probably doesn't have enough money for that. And yeah, I like the little bit where after they go through the window and land, he checks, is Felicity okay? And then they, you have the thing about, he points out, they never thought about, the toll it takes on him, the body count. And she says, since when do you care about that? And Deagle points out, since Tommy. That's a really good way to, and she acknowledges later, and that's also great, it would be boring if Felicity was right about everything. I mean, she is, like, on the computer, she's so much of a god that any second now, she's gonna ask, that's a spoiler, she's gonna say, look at you, hacker, panting and sweating as you run through my corridors. So it's and she's so much of, Oliver's conscience, at least at times. Other times it's Diggle who is. So for her to sometimes make mistakes, and yeah, she admits, she didn't really think about, like, once she signed up for the helping the vigilante, she did kind of accept, okay, people are going to die. She, and it's one thing to be helping with that, it's another to be taking lives, which is a remarkably frustrating viewing experience, that movie. Anyway, I think that brings us to, I liked the conversation about, Roy and Thea. Have you given any more thought to visiting your mother? I have. I'm gonna do it when you don't go out and do vigilantism. Well, what does one have to do with the other? I guess they're both things that are never gonna happen. Yeah, she's still. I do appreciate that she, when she feels she's right, she's gonna hold on to that. And I guess the right, and her running the bar is also, a greater level of responsibility than we've seen her take in season 1. So, she is still sometimes stubborn, but she is also evolving as a character. She is becoming more. Right, I like the, did you drop Vertigo while I wasn't looking? I mean, that's, considering what he's reacting to, that is a fair, yeah. And also, like, that really goes to show how strong their relationship is overall, though he is lying about, there at the end of the episode, he doesn't admit that he's going to go out, and he does almost get himself killed. Or he could have gotten himself killed if not for... See, I have an idea of who saved him, but I think for now, I'm gonna try not to think about it too much. But I have hopes of who has joined the chat there. But yeah, the fact that he can say, did you do, because like when she did Vertigo in the first season, she almost, like, she could have died, so that is kind of, it's, yeah, it's a lot to joke about. And it also does show, they are still, both of them have an edge to them, and that is part of their relationship. And I think, they are, making her more mature in multiple different meanings of that word, and have been since partway through season 1. Yes. I think that pretty much brings us to the club party. It was really, really cool when we see, like, the what's it called, the one of the hoods just walking through the crowd, raising the gun, shooting into the air. Just, yeah. And they say, where can we find, oh, right, now the fact that Diggle managed to shoot one of the hoods was also quite cool. But yeah, and that moment, Roy definitely has some work to do if he's going to be able to put behind him the vigilantism. Thea's face, you see very clearly, like, she does not want him to do this, and he sees that, and we see him, like, process that, but he just, at least right now, just cannot bring himself to. I mean, we already know he feels like he hasn't done enough with his life, and yeah, so he attacks, and he does, ultimately he is able to give that bit of identifying, uh, the fact that the guy lost part of his hand, or the entire hand, something like that, in the, which, um, the Arrow team discover the identity through that identifying thing. But he is not able to, and knocks one of them, at least one of them, down. And he's got a gun, but there's two of them, and one of them has the and it's one of those things where an argument could be, the one could discuss, did he make things better or worse? Did he change anything at all? Like, they were there for a queen, they leave with not the one that they want, but a queen nonetheless. Would they have grabbed her if he hadn't attacked? Because, like, that obviously does, communicate to them, okay, this might, they might not be able to stay here. This could be a really bad situation, so, yeah. And some might say, well, he scared them off. They would probably have taken Thea anyway, but maybe they would have hurt someone before. Like, they did say that they're going to shoot people until they get Oliver Queen. We don't know if they were going to or not, because it's unclear exactly how far they shot the mayor, and they have gone after other one percenters. Do they think the people in the club, I mean, it's Queen's Club. Maybe they think that means that these people are all, one percenters or sufficiently adjacent. And yeah, so Oliver, goes to the club, and we have, what's the word? I really appreciate it. Yeah, a couple of things about Dad Detective Lance. I liked the brief moment between him and Felicity. You know, they didn't always get along quite as well, but by now they are on good terms, which makes sense. But appreciate that that's, you know, reaffirmed. Like, yeah, they are still. And yeah, when he, you know, he yells, "Queen, Oliver, I'll find her," you know, because they also did not always get along. But by now, there is some trust there. Um, so I think, yeah, I like the thing about, you know, I'm going to go check on something in the basement, you know, and just, yeah. Um, oh, I guess actually was before then. Okay, I'll talk about it here. So, yeah, he goes to see his mom, and I thought they did a really great job on you know, the way she carries herself is completely different, and just, yeah, she looks very different, even though, like, not, you know, it's not that that long has passed between the filming of the episodes, but just, you know, she used to wear these fancy dresses, and now she's in this prison thing, you know, and he starts to apologize for not coming sooner, and she says, if we both, you know, I'm going to be if you're apologizing to, like, I'm going to be apologizing for the rest of my life to you. So, you know, and the thing, and you know, the thing about, like, yes, I know you're the CEO. We do get the news in here. If I'd have known that, you know, the company being in trouble was what it would take to get you to become CEO, I would have declared bankruptcy a year ago. She is a mom. And let's see. Yeah. Um, then we get, yeah, very, very cool upgrade. And that is also very Felicity. She does tend to, um, you know, work on improving the various things. You know, it's again, I think they say it in season 1, or maybe I said it in one of my videos in season 1, possibly both. A lot of IT people, they can't really leave things completely alone, because, like, so much, you know, like, if you've never worked on something like professionally on a computer, like, I only have very limited experience myself, but I know people who've spent a lot of time on that, and, like, some problems with computers, like, you can be spending hours on it, and you have to jump through so many hoops and think so creatively to solve it. So a lot of people who work on that for a long time, they can't really sit still after a while. You know, it feels like, no, there's got to be something I can fix. And yeah, I very much appreciate the upgrade she did. Very, very cool. I love the bow. Um, and yeah, the thing about, you know, she had it made specially. Um, how did I do? You know, it's perfect. You know, that was a great moment. And yeah, we have the thing about, you know, maybe maybe we have to find another way and not kill them. And yeah, the fact that all the hoods are, it's, you know, because they lost everything in the earthquakes in the season 1 finale, yeah, makes a lot of sense that they would go out and you know, yeah, do this. It's terrible, but there are, sadly, you know, in real life, people who, if they lose a lot, will do something extreme like that. Let's see. I think that does get us to the yeah. I quite liked you know, Thea in the chair. The you know, she explains the my mother didn't kill anyone. She saved as many as she could. And I just want there to be an outtake where one of the hoods like takes the mask off, and it's Mom, and she's like, "Is that really what it was gonna take to get you to understand?" But yeah, uh, they're actually about to shoot her. Like, holy crap! And he still amazing with that bow and arrow. Like, holy crap! Imagine being so accurate with a bow and arrow that the gun at that range can be stopped. Just like, yeah, really, really cool. And the yeah, we get some really cool action as he fights the hoods, one of whom, he apparently, like, his clip for the assault rifle runs out of bullets almost immediately. So I guess the gun was loaded by the writer of the scene. Seriously though, obviously they do have to, like, it wouldn't be super interesting to just watch as he empties the entire clip without hitting Oliver, because of course he's not going to hit Oliver. So yeah. And the thing about, he saves, he catches one of the hoods, and good job on, like, we see how far of a drop it is, and some of the stuff that's down there is metal, and the floor in some of the places like that is also hard. Like, he could die from that fall, depending on, like, so certainly if his head hits the ground running. So yeah. And then he, the let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to think of if there is anything left that uh no, yeah, I think that is everything for this episode. So yeah, as usual, as I do Arrowverse, it's not going to be every single day, but it's going to be more days a week that I do episodes. It's at least some of these weeks, I think it's going to be 5 days a week. And then one of the weekdays is going to be a video game. One of them is going to be a movie. I am toying with the idea of doing 2 movies in one of the next weeks, but we'll see. But certainly, some weeks it will be 5. Not sure it's going to be less than 4 until I'm done with this season. Honestly, I think it's going to be a while before I slow down on, Arrowverse, considering how many episodes there are. Yes, I think that does pretty well cover let's see. Yeah, I really loved when Thea does go see her mom, and you have the thing about, like, cruel and unusual punishment, and she explains, and they hug, very, very sweet. And let's see. There are let's see, where was I going with that? Yeah, Thea's like, I just sat there thinking, I almost died last night, and I sat there thinking, if I died, you would spend the rest of your life thinking that I hated you. And I want you to know it's true. No, I'm just kidding. And yeah, really, really solid season opener. Yeah. Oh, right, the deleted scene. I don't have much to say about it, but it was good. The Lances talking about Tommy. And the oh, I like that. I'm afraid I forget her name right now, but um, Queen, um, the matriarch, remembered Roy's name. Oh, right. That was a thing I definitely wanted to talk about. Yeah. When so yeah. Queen Oliver and Russia talk again. And there's the thing about, I own 50%. Well, I'm getting the remaining. How? And Walter walks in, and I like that as soon as he steps in the room, she stands up, like she shoots in the air like a cartoon rocket Looney Tunes character, just like, I thought you resigned as CEO. I did, and I work at a bank now. Nicely done. And I love the thing about, I'm so glad you knew, whatever happened between your mother and I, you can still come to me for help. And he really came through for him. And at the same time, it's also one of those things where, like if someone complained, like, gave all this money to this Queen guy, he can point out, I'm sure Walter could like list all that. Well, in the recent years, here's all the earnings of the company. They're going to be able to repay the loan and will earn interest. So why don't you go back to your desk and let the people who are better qualified do this? And I'm not saying he would be quite that rude about it, but let's see. Yeah, the thing about, well, looks like we're partners now, huh? I am really looking forward to seeing that play out. And I like the little, not quite smile, but smirk, Because she's like a little bit impressed, but also kind of annoyed, And she says, you are so different from what they say about you. And he gets the killer line, most people don't see the real me, which, like, yeah, that's a very true statement there. I think that might pretty much cover. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the fact that he actually, one of the hoods actually pulls a gun on Oliver, you know, um, and let's see, uh, yeah, I like the Detective Lance saying, right, who's now, like, he's just like, this time stay within the speed limit, just like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. He's still a cop, but like that's what they have him doing now, when he was like solving homicides before. But yeah, right, I like the distinction between killed and murdered. And yeah, do you know what Tommy called me? A murderer. And then we have, where does that gets us somewhere. What does that get us? That gets us to, yeah, the thing about, usually when you bring people to me, they're more dead. And let's see. Yeah, that does pretty much cover the, let's see. Yeah, they the yeah, so the part where, so one of the hoods pulls a gun on Oliver, even though he's holding him there, and the hood says, you'll drop me anyway, I know you. And that's such a strong moment because, like, the Oliver of season 1. Like, there are times where he would have, he did sometimes kill people. Not always, not every single time, but yeah. So that's it's very clear. Part of what the episode is about is that Oliver has to evolve. He can't go back to the way things were. He does want to help Starling City, but it can't be what it was before. And that's, again, I'm not saying every single season of a TV show has to, but I think it works extremely well when you evolve what the show is over time. As long as you do it in a way that doesn't feel too jarring, which I think some of the time Alias did. You know what? I'm gonna give... I don't give props to Lost that often. I will admit, there were times where when they, did something different in one of the seasons from what they had done before, it really, really worked. I think that does... there was a very specific element of season 5 that I thought was great, for example, but it's pretty significant spoiler for that show. But but yeah, ultimately he does save the guy, but and that was also great when he reaches down his arm, his hand, and pulls the guy up, and the look on the guy's face, like, it is like, I wasn't expecting that, and that's also part of this whole copycat thing. Like, he thought he knew him, he wasn't expecting the Hood to come after him, but as soon as it happens, they did shoot to kill. They weren't like, at no point did they say, we're on the same page here. We want to stop the bad guys too. They assumed, like, I don't know exactly why he's coming after us, but if we don't try to shoot him, he's gonna kill us. I've read this. You magnificent Archer. I read your book. I know how this story ends. This is, yeah, and that is a very. It can be a real eye opener when someone thinks of you as something that you are trying to put in the past, and it was also like, yeah, he could have let him drop if that's the thing. Like, he chooses to risk the guy shooting him so that he can save him, puts his own life on the line. That does also communicate to the guy, like, okay, he actually does, he does genuinely want to save my life, but yeah, he points out, like, if you shoot me, like, there's a 50-50 chance you're gonna fall and die. And he's like, those are the best odds I've had in years.